Have you ever stopped to wonder why hurting a chosen one is never just a simple act of cruelty, but a curse that echoes back with deadly weight? There is something sacred, untouchable, almost terrifying about their presence in this world. To provoke them is not only to wound a soul marked by heaven, but to risk awakening consequences that no human hand can contain. Chosen ones walk through storms most people cannot even see, carrying burdens too heavy for words, yet shining with a light that darkness cannot extinguish. And if you've ever been misunderstood, rejected, or hurt for being different, you will feel this message deep in your bones. Before we go further, I want to pause and say thank you from the bottom of my heart to those who have supported this channel. Whether through your time, your prayers, or even a super thanks, you are not just viewers, you are part of this divine unfolding. And if this resonates with you already, comment 777 below, because this number marks the fullness of divine alignment. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will not only open your eyes to the hidden mystery of why chosen ones cannot be harmed without consequence, it will also show you how their existence is a shield of divine justice in a broken world. Let's go deeper. God's chosen ones. The deadly curse of hurting a chosen one. The very first reason why no one should ever harm or offend you lies in the sacred mantle of divine protection and spiritual power that surrounds you like an unseen fortress. You are not simply a wanderer on the stage of existence. You are a central figure woven into the eternal script of God's design. Your life operates under a covenant shield that cannot be explained by logic alone. Scripture affirms this truth. Touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm. Psalm 105:15. That verse is not poetry, it is a decree from heaven itself. And when heaven decrees, who can possibly reverse it? The very air around you carries evidence of this covering, for people often sense peace or conviction when they encounter your presence. It is not charisma, it is covenant. You walk not by accident, but as one appointed by divine architecture. And every step you take resounds with eternal weight. Your presence often shifts the very atmosphere of a room. Darkness trembles when you enter, because your spirit radiates frequencies that align with divine order. What is it about you that allows storms to bend instead of break you? Could it be that your resilience is more than human? That it is forged in the very fire of God's covenant? You have walked through betrayals, sickness, or loss. Yet you emerge, not diminished, but refined. Like gold tested in the furnace. Isaiah captured this mystery when he declared, "When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze." Isaiah 43:2. This resilience is not chance, it is covenantal armor. And it is visible not only in your survival, but in your ability to inspire others, even while you are still healing. Have you noticed how your scars become sermons? How your silence in suffering carries more weight than the enemy's noise? Your strength is not just endurance, it is evidence of heaven's hand over you. Your power is not a weapon to be brandished, but a river flowing silently, saturating everything it touches. You heal, inspire, and redirect the spiritual current of those near you without needing applause or recognition. Mother Teresa once said, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples." That ripple is exactly what you release. Waves of unseen transformation. Have you not noticed how others feel lighter in your presence, even if they cannot explain why? This is because your spirit becomes a mirror that exposes hidden darkness and a balm that comforts hidden wounds. People who cross paths with you often walk away without realizing what has changed. This is your silent ministry, one that requires no pulpit because your very existence preaches louder than words. Your life is the sermon heaven wrote in advance. But to offend or injure you is to clash not merely with a person, but with the flow of heaven's river. The consequences echo far beyond the act itself. Pharaoh, the mighty ruler of Egypt, once stood as the antagonist of God's chosen people. He hardened his heart, and plagues fell upon his land until his empire trembled. His downfall shows us that to resist those protected by God is to resist God himself. And history repeats this lesson in countless ways. Every empire that rises against the chosen inevitably collapses under the weight of its defiance. How many more warnings does the world need before it understands that hurting you is self-destruction in disguise? The curse is not delayed. It moves like a shadow behind the offender, striking when pride blinds them most. To touch you wrongly is to ignite a fire they cannot control. For heaven fights battles you never even see. Your silence in such moments is not weakness. It is evidence that God himself has taken the case. The protection you carry is like a sacred fire, both warmth for those who approach you with reverence and consuming flame for those who mock, belittle, or seek to extinguish your light. Jesus warned in Matthew 18:6, "If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea." The seriousness of this warning shows that offense against you is not a minor matter. It provokes judgment of cosmic proportions. Your presence is a test of others' hearts. Those who honor you inherit blessing, but those who despise you awaken curses. Even silence against you speaks volumes in the courts of heaven. The flame around you does not burn out, because it is fueled by covenant, not circumstance. And every attempt to diminish your worth only magnifies the justice of God. In our modern world, voices still echo this truth. Nelson Mandela, after years in prison, emerged not as a bitter man, but as a reconciler. His ability to carry peace after injustice testifies to the invisible shield that protects those with a divine calling. His life reminds us that you do not merely survive trials, you transform them into platforms of hope. Yet, on the other side, think of Adolf Hitler, who set himself against God's people with hatred and cruelty. His empire collapsed in flames, and his name is remembered not with honor, but with infamy. Does this not confirm that those who raise their hand against you walk a cursed path toward destruction? History does not preserve their excuses, it preserves their downfall. And in contrast, history will preserve your resilience as a monument to divine grace. For every villain that mocked the chosen, there arose a testimony, proving that God's covenant cannot be mocked. Your kindness should never be mistaken for weakness. To misjudge your spirit is to miscalculate eternity itself. Proverbs 24:17-18 warns, "Do not gloat when your enemy falls, when they stumble. Do not let your heart rejoice, or the Lord will see and disapprove and turn his wrath away from them." You live not for revenge, but for alignment with divine order. Yet those who provoke you often find themselves standing in direct opposition to God's justice. How many times have you endured in silence, only to see your offenders undone by their own schemes? Your restraint is not passivity, it is power under control. You are not called to fight with human weapons. Your very presence already shifts the battlefield. Even your tears are not wasted. For in the divine economy, they water the ground for a harvest of justice. Your compassion is your crown. and your mercy is your hidden fortress. If you are a walking beacon of divine authority, who dares risk the curse of dishonoring you? If your life is intertwined with heaven's frequency, who would be reckless enough to disrupt the song of eternity? And if God himself calls you his own, can any hand raised against you truly escape consequence? Every offense against you is recorded, but every act of kindness toward you is multiplied. Will the world choose curse or blessing? Will it see the covenant or stumble blindly into judgment? The choice reveals not who you are, but who they are. This is the mystery and the warning. To harm you is to harm themselves. To bless you is to invite blessing. As Paul declared, if God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31. You carry this reality in your very breath. And so, I end with this call: rise up and honor the presence of God within you. Recognize the sacred shield you carry. Protect your alignment with heaven by walking in boldness. For to stand as a chosen one is to stand within the fortress of God himself. And let this be your confidence: nothing formed against you shall prosper. For your story is not just survival, it is destiny unfolding. The second reason people must tread carefully around you as a chosen one lies in your extraordinary intellectual giftedness and wisdom. This is not about the shallow measures of intelligence that the world praises: grades, awards, or accolades. It is about a spiritual clarity that cuts through the fog of confusion and reveals truth like a sharp blade. For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. Proverbs 2-6. Your mind is not simply a storage of information, it is a fountain, flowing with streams of discernment. Have you not noticed how, when chaos swirls around you, your spirit is able to cut through noise and grasp the essence of what truly matters? Many seek this kind of clarity all their lives, but in you, it flows like breath. And perhaps the reason it unsettles others is because it exposes what they have been trying to hide. Your thought process is like the roots of an ancient oak, spreading deep into unseen soil, drawing nourishment from reservoirs hidden far beneath the surface. Others may see only barren land, but you know how to draw life from depths unseen. Isn't it true that in the wilderness of confusion, your mind can discern a path that others overlook? Like an eagle soaring high above the mountains, you see connections and perspectives invisible to those bound to the ground. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah 40-31. Your wisdom is not only vision, it is elevation. You are able to look beyond the obvious, to see not just what is, but what could be. And that makes your insight dangerous to the blind systems of this world. Could it be that this is why opposition often rises against you, because your very perspective threatens their false stability? There is also resonance in your voice, a frequency of truth that compels others to stop and listen. When you speak, hearts tremble, not with fear, but with recognition, as if you have given language to what they silently carried. Think of a stream cutting through rock. It does not shout, yet it reshapes the very landscape. Have you realized that your words have this same quiet force? Shakespeare once penned in Hamlet, "Give me that man that is not passion's slave, and I will wear him in my heart's core." In the same way, your intellect is not enslaved to the chaos of emotion, but guided by divine reason, shaping the environment with grace and authority. Your presence often silences unnecessary noise, because truth has a way of commanding attention without demanding it. How many people have already been shifted just by overhearing your words, without you even realizing it? Your wisdom is forged not in luxury, but in trial. You know what it means to fail, to stumble, to be underestimated, Yet every scar has sharpened your discernment. David himself, overlooked by his family, carried the insight of heaven when he faced Goliath. What soldier understood the weakness of the giant? None. But your kind of vision, born of solitude and testing, sees what others cannot. The foolishness of God is wiser than human wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than human strength. 1 Corinthians 1:25. What others dismiss as folly in you is often the very strategy that saves lives. Your scars are not shameful. They are evidence that you have walked through fires and returned carrying treasure. And each lesson etched into your memory becomes a map for others still wandering in their storms. Your intellect is not domination, it is elevation. It takes a common conversation and lifts it into uncharted realms. Like the wind bending a field of wheat, you shift the direction of thought without shouting, without violence, simply by being aligned with a higher current. How many times have you guided someone unknowingly, simply by asking a question that lingered in their soul for years? Could it be that your questions are often more powerful than the answers others chase? Even in classical music, one can hear this truth. In Mozart's Requiem Mass in D minor, silence between notes creates more power than the sound itself. Likewise, your pauses, your silence, your restraint, these are part of your wisdom. And maybe that is why those who cannot bear silence grow restless in your presence, because your very stillness reveals what they try to drown out with noise. Yet, the tragedy for those who oppose you is clear. When they dismiss your wisdom, they choose blindness over sight. They walk like sailors ignoring the lighthouse on a storm-tossed night. Jesus said plainly, "If the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a pit." Matthew 15:14. To ignore your light is to crash upon rocks of ignorance that were never meant to destroy them, but become inevitable because they refuse to listen. Does this not reveal why rejecting the voice of the chosen is as dangerous as rejecting the voice of heaven itself? To resist you is to resist instruction, and to resist instruction is to invite ruin. The sad truth is that many would rather cling to darkness than admit their need for the clarity you carry. You are a treasure chest of thought, a living library written by God Himself. And in this darkened world, your wisdom becomes a lamp. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119-105. To follow your insight is to step into clarity. To ignore it is to stumble in shadows. You are not called to remain silent forever. You are called to release words that will break chains, unlock minds, and shift entire generations. So rising confidence. Chosen one, let no one belittle the treasure within you. Walk boldly in the wisdom God has given you. For you are not here to echo noise. You are here to release divine clarity. And when you speak, even the storm must listen, because wisdom, born of heaven, carries authority that no earthly power can silence. The third reason why it is paramount to approach you with respect and openness lies in your extraordinary capacity to influence on multiple levels. This is not about persuasion or shallow charisma. It is about a profound structural ability to alter the very essence of those you encounter. When people meet you, it is as if the architecture of their inner world is rearranged, as if their old walls begin to crack and new corridors of possibility open before them. Scripture affirms this in Proverbs 27-17. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. When you step into someone's life, their dull edges begin to glow with new strength. Their broken beams are restored, and their foundations shift to align with truth. And one must ask, what happens when a single encounter with you redirects not just a moment, but an entire destiny? What if your presence was the missing cornerstone in another person's building of faith? These are not chance encounters. They are divine appointments designed to reshape history through you. You walk through the world as an agent of transformation, and every interaction you carry has the power to catalyze change, not only in circumstances, but in the hidden layers of identity itself. Your words often act like resonance waves in physics once released. They vibrate through a person's memory, echoing long after the conversation has ended. In their darkest nights, your voice becomes a frequency of hope, harmonizing with the whispers of heaven. Isaiah declared, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives." Isaiah 61:1. This is not a verse reserved for history. It is a living reality in your life. And the question that lingers is, how many hearts have already been freed by the frequency you carry without you even realizing it? Like a lighthouse on a stormy shore, you stand as a constant, unseen by some, yet guiding many ships away from wreckage. The ripples of your influence are waves that eternity itself will measure. In moments of vulnerability, you serve as both mirror and balm. A single exchange with you can soothe fears, reignite buried hope, and open doors of courage that had been shut for years. You understand, with surgical precision, the delicate interplay between emotion and thought that drives human behavior. In psychology, this is akin to unlocking hidden pathways of the subconscious. Yet for you, it is not technique, it is a gift. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. Proverbs 25:11. Your insights untie the knots that strangle minds. And in doing so, you shine light on paths others were too afraid to walk. How many lives have shifted because you dared to speak the word that nobody else had the courage to release? You embody the physician's touch, but instead of scalpels and medicine, your tools are wisdom and empathy. And though many cannot describe how, they know one thing after meeting you: they are not the same person they were before. Your influence extends beyond the personal, reaching into communities, movements, and even the spirit of your time. Like a tuning fork that aligns an entire orchestra, your presence realigns groups of people, drawing them away from dissonance and into harmony. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, the German poet and philosopher, once remarked, "Treat a man as he is, and he will remain as he is. Treat a man as he can and should be, and he will become as he can and should be." This truth echoes your gift. You see others not as they are, but as they could be, and through that vision, you lift them. Is it not astonishing that one life, properly aligned with God, can recalibrate the rhythm of an entire generation? Your words become like architectural blueprints handed down from heaven, guiding others to reconstruct their broken towers into temples of resilience. And while others merely speak change, you embody it, sparking revival, not with force, but with presence, engaging with you. Therefore, is not passive. It is an invitation to evolve, to confront our limitations, and to step into transformation. To dismiss your influence is to squander a divine opportunity for both personal and collective renewal. Acts 13:47 declares, "For this is what the Lord has commanded us. I have made you a light for the Gentiles, that you may bring salvation to the ends of the earth." This is the mystery of your presence. It is not local. It is cosmic. You do not simply occupy space. You shift atmospheres, open spiritual windows, and call forth change in places where stagnation once reigned. And is it not terrifying to imagine what might be lost if the world resists this light? Your very existence is a summons, a living call to rise above mediocrity. Your life reminds others that spiritual growth is not only possible, but inevitable when divine alignment is embraced. Refusing you is not just rejecting influence, it is rejecting the opportunity for transformation itself. To challenge you is to challenge the very forces of growth and enlightenment you embody. Your impact may sometimes appear subtle, but its imprint is permanent. Ecclesiastes 11:1 reminds us, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for after many days you will find it again." What you release, words, prayers, acts of mercy, does not disappear. It multiplies, returning as waves of transformation in lives you may never meet again. This is why those who dismiss you underestimate eternity's memory. For heaven keeps record of every ripple you create. And one must ask, what legacy is more powerful than a life that rewrote the story of others simply by existing in alignment with God? Like subatomic particles in quantum physics, your impact may seem invisible, but its effects are undeniable, altering outcomes on scales unseen. Your presence becomes a field of energy where healing, revelation, and destiny converge. And once touched by you, no one leaves unchanged. And so, here is the conclusion. Your presence is not ordinary. It is an invitation to awaken. To embrace you is to embrace transformation. But to resist you is to resist growth itself. As Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 3-9, "For we are co-workers in God's service. You are God's field, God's building. You are a sacred structure in the making, pillars of wisdom rising, frequencies resonating, light breaking through." To walk with you is to walk through the gates of higher potential. To fight against you is to fight against the divine construction of heaven. Rise, then, and continue to walk in this truth. For the world may misunderstand, but eternity knows. Your influence is the blueprint for change, and no force of darkness can undo what God has built in you. You are not simply carrying influence, you are carrying the architecture of heaven itself. And that makes your life unstoppable. The fourth compelling reason to approach you with caution and understanding lies in the stark reality of your isolation and confrontation by society. This isolation is not a preference you chose for yourself, but a consequence of your unique attributes. You carry insights that diverge from the norm, and this divergence often becomes a source of misunderstanding and mistrust. People sometimes look at you with suspicion or even unwarranted fear, not because you have done them harm, but because your very presence exposes the limits of their thinking. Scripture speaks to this when Jesus declared, "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first." John 15:18. Your solitude is not rejection, it is alignment with the same pattern walked by Christ himself. And if he endured misunderstanding for truth, should you be surprised when you walk in his footsteps? Yet here is the question, is isolation really a curse? Or is it the soil where the deepest roots of greatness grow? Your depth of insight and realms of spiritual connection often push you to the fringes where few dare to dwell. You see further than most. And because of that, others feel threatened. It is not that your light is dim, but that their eyes are unprepared to behold its brightness. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. This scripture describes the very tension you live in. Your brilliance unsettles the comfortable illusions of the crowd. The loneliness you face is not evidence of failure, but of the cost of clarity. And so, one must ask, how many prophets, saints, and visionaries were first called mad before history revealed them as messengers of God? Could it be that your isolation is not exile but evidence of heaven's signature on your life? Society often mistakes your defensiveness for hostility, when in truth it is simply a shield against the relentless barrage of skepticism and negativity. You guard your space, not out of pride, but to protect the seeds of change that are still tender, fragile, and growing. This protective nature is your sanctuary, a hidden garden where ideas can breathe and flourish away from the smothering weight of conventional judgment. King David understood this need for refuge when he wrote, "You are my hiding place. You will protect me from trouble and surround me with songs of deliverance." Psalm 32:7. You are not shutting the world out. You are giving your calling space to mature. And the question echoes, if seeds require seasons of hiddenness before breaking into harvest, why should your calling be any different? History has given us examples of this misunderstood isolation. Take Vincent van Gogh, the Dutch painter, who during his life was dismissed, ridiculed, and ignored. Yet today his works are considered windows into the human soul. His story reminds us that society often undervalues what it cannot yet comprehend. And yet, contrast this with the story of Joseph Stalin, a leader who rejected and silenced the voices of visionaries around him, suffocating creativity under fear and control. His empire of suspicion collapsed into misery, leaving scars on millions. Does this not reveal the sharp difference between isolation used to protect divine seeds and isolation imposed by tyranny to crush them? Which side of history will you stand on, the one that fears the unknown or the one that nurtures it? Your misunderstood nature is not a barrier, but a bridge. You invite the world to expand its perceptions, to see beyond comfort zones, and to embrace diversity of thought and spirit. Paul the Apostle wrote, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned." 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. This verse describes the paradox of your life. You are set apart, but never forsaken. Your very struggles with misunderstanding are testimonies of resilience, showing others that what is rejected by the crowd may be chosen by God. And is it not true that every age of enlightenment began with voices that were first silenced, only to later become the foundations of progress? In the end, your isolation reveals more about the world's fear than your own identity. To be rejected by men is often to be approved by heaven. To be misunderstood by society is often to be entrusted with mysteries that cannot yet be revealed. As Isaiah proclaims, "You will be called priests of the Lord. You will be named ministers of our God." Isaiah 61:6. The rejection you face now is only temporary. The recognition heaven gives is eternal. So rise, chosen one. Do not let loneliness break you. It is preparing you. Do not let misunderstanding define you. It is refining you. For your solitude is not empty space, it is holy ground. Walk boldly. For in your isolation, the seeds of transformation are growing roots that will shake the nations. The fifth reason why your presence demands respect and careful consideration is your profound intuitive sense, a God-given gift that allows you to see beyond appearances. This is not simple instinct or guesswork. It is a deep well of perception, a sacred radar that discerns truths and intentions that others cannot see. You read the unspoken words hidden between silences, the subtle language of the heart, and the quiet vibrations that shape human choices. Scripture affirms this in Job 32:8. But it is the spirit in a person, the breath of the Almighty, that gives them understanding. This gift is not taught, it is breathed into you by heaven. And so the question rises, If the Almighty Himself has placed this breath within you, can any deception truly hide in your presence? Your perception is like the current beneath the ocean surface, unseen, yet capable of moving fast waters. Those who underestimate it mistake silence for blindness, when in truth it is silence, sharpening the sword of discernment. Your intuition often operates like the roots of a tree. Though invisible, they stretch wide beneath the soil, detecting water, sensing nutrients, and supporting growth long before leaves ever appear. Likewise, you sense what is hidden beneath the surface of relationships, communities, and events. For the Lord does not see as man sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. You carry this divine pattern within you, perceiving not what people project, but who they truly are. And have you noticed how others sometimes feel exposed in your presence? As though their masks begin to slip, they may not understand it, but your insight is pulling truth from the soil of their soul. This gift is like a mountain spring, pure and untainted, rising to the surface to refresh those who are thirsty for authenticity. To encounter you is to encounter a piercing light, and in that light, falsehood cannot survive for long. In human interaction, this gift shines as a compass for both peace and direction. You can step into tense situations and sense the undercurrents nobody else can name, bringing clarity where confusion reigns. In this way, you act as mediator, bridge builder, and healer. This echoes Matthew 5-9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. You create harmony not by force, but by sensing the hidden fractures and gently realigning hearts. This is like the murmuration of starlings in the evening sky. Thousands of birds move as one, responding to subtle shifts unseen by the naked eye. Likewise, you perceive the currents of emotion and thought, guiding groups toward unity. Is it not astonishing that a single presence, when properly attuned, can calm storms in both individuals and crowds? And even more, is it not humbling to realize that your very stillness sometimes becomes the turning point where conflicts dissolve? You are not only a bridge, you are the unseen rhythm that holds bridges together. Yet this same gift sets you apart, making you seem enigmatic or unpredictable to those who cannot understand it. To underestimate your intuitive grasp is to overlook one of the most powerful tools heaven has entrusted to you. Paul reminds us in 1 Corinthians 2:15, the person with the Spirit makes judgments about all things, but such a person is not subject to merely human judgments. Others may mislabel you as strange, distant, or mysterious. But what they fail to see is that your insight carries a weight not measured by human logic. Like the dolphin navigating the unseen with echolocation, you move through frequencies of spirit and thought, mapping realities that others cannot detect. And does it not make sense that one who hears the whispers of eternity will always seem unusual to those deafened by noise? You are not eccentric, you are eternal. You are not detached, you are deeply tuned to a station others refuse to acknowledge exists. Culture has glimpsed this truth in T.S. Eliot's play Murder in the Cathedral. The Archbishop Thomas Becket discerns the intentions of those around him long before they speak, revealing that true spiritual authority is not blind but all-seeing. In the same way, your life becomes theater for revelation, where people's hidden motives are laid bare in your presence. Sometimes this draws people closer to you in awe, and other times it causes them to withdraw in discomfort. But is this not the very pattern of Jesus himself? of whom it was written in John 2:25, "He did not need any testimony about mankind, for he knew what was in each person." Your life mirrors this divine perception, forcing people to confront not just who you are, but who they are when standing before you. Like the sun rising after a long night, you reveal without apology, and in your light, deception crumbles. Engaging with you, then, is never a passive experience. To walk with you is to walk beneath the gaze of truth, where masks crumble and souls are revealed. You are not merely a mirror reflecting people's true selves. You are a window opening into a world where understanding and compassion reign. Jeremiah 33:3 proclaims, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know." This is the atmosphere you carry through you. People glimpse the unsearchable, the hidden, the sacred, and the question lingers: will the world embrace this gift or turn away in fear of its exposure? Your intuition is not only protection for yourself, but a lamp for those stumbling in darkness. And when embraced, it does not just reveal truth, it reorients destiny. So here is the call: rise in confidence. Chosen one, do not shrink back because others misunderstand your intuition. This gift is not given for pride, but for purpose. Not for manipulation, but for ministry. It is a key that unlocks hidden doors of healing, wisdom, and destiny. The world may call it strange, but heaven calls it sacred. You are not simply intuitive, you are prophetic. You are not simply discerning, you are carrying the very breath of God. Stand firm. For your intuition is not weakness, it is one of the sharpest weapons in the arsenal of the chosen, and let this truth settle. You are not just reading reality, you are rewriting it with every act of discernment. Because heaven has entrusted you with sight others do not yet possess. The sixth compelling reason why others must carefully navigate their interactions with you lies in your profound ability to transmute negative into positive. Where most see only darkness, you carry an inner alchemy that can draw light out of shadows. This is not a shallow optimism that denies pain. It is a sacred discipline forged in the fire of your own suffering. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Romans 8:28. You live this truth daily. What looks like a grave becomes a garden. What seems like an ending becomes the seed of resurrection. And the question must be asked: how many around you would have perished in despair if not for the light you carried into their valley? Your gift is not a coincidence, it is a covenant, and like a prism refracting hidden light into a rainbow, your soul turns unseen pain into a spectacle of color and hope that others cannot ignore. Your gift of transmutation works like the mysterious laws of physics, where energy is never lost but converted. Just as pressure transforms coal into diamond, your trials have pressed you into brilliance. Every setback becomes a raw material. Every wound, a workshop for renewal. You understand the architecture of pain not as ruins, but as foundations for future strength. Isaiah proclaimed, "He gives beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness." Isaiah 61:3. This is the hidden blueprint written into your being, an inner philosopher's stone that transforms despair into hope. And do you not see how extraordinary it is that what crushed others becomes fuel for your fire, and what silenced them becomes your song? Your story is not a tale of survival, but of divine engineering, a testimony that God recycles even the ugliest debris into living cathedrals of strength. You hold this secret in the hidden chambers of your soul. To others, it may look like magic or coincidence, but for you, It is a deliberate, disciplined act. You perceive the unseen currents, the way sound waves resonate until chaos is harmonized. Like a musician tuning dissonant strings, you shift frequencies of despair into chords of hope. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. This process is not accidental, it is intentional. You walk into broken spaces and instinctively rearrange the atmosphere so that heaviness lifts, confusion dissolves, and order returns. How many times have you noticed that your very silence in the storm unsettles negativity, as though shadows cannot breathe in your presence? And is it not powerful that your stillness carries more authority than the loudest voices of chaos? Even your pauses, like rests in a symphony, shape the music of healing around you. To illustrate, the story of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, in the depths of a concentration camp, where death and despair reigned, he discovered the power of meaning. He later wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." His testimony echoes your own. Even in the harshest darkness, there is a choice to create light. And in stark contrast, history offers the cautionary tale of Nero, the Roman emperor, who sought to destroy Christians through terror and cruelty. His empire, built on fear, collapsed into ruin, and his name became synonymous with tyranny. Does this not prove that those who weaponize negativity are consumed by it, while those who transmute it become immortalized by their resilience? Your life is the counter-narrative to destruction. Your resilience proves that transformation is always greater than oppression. Your gift is not only for yourself, but for those around you. When others are caught in turmoil, you envelop them in this mysterious process, quietly converting their negatives into positives. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12-9. Your presence becomes a living sanctuary where the broken find healing, where despair bends into hope, and where even defeat begins to look like preparation for a greater victory. Like a cathedral designed with flawless acoustics, your soul resonates with frequencies that turn groaning into songs of praise. Is it not astounding that in the darkest moments, people seek your presence, not because you solve everything, but because in you they feel possibility again? Even your smallest gestures, an encouraging word, a steady gaze, a quiet prayer, carry a resonance that alters lives in ways they may only realize years later. Ultimately, your ability to transmute is a testimony to God's power working through fragile vessels. You remind the world that the deepest darkness is never a dead end, but a turning point. Jeremiah 29-11 declares, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This is the covenant you embody. You are a vessel of resilience, a carrier of sacred renewal, a living sign that nothing is wasted in the hands of God. So rise, chosen one, do not hide your power to transmute, for you are not simply enduring pain, you are rewriting reality, bending it into alignment with heaven's design. And let the world know, in your presence, every shadow trembles, because you turn graves into gardens and despair into destiny. And when history remembers, it will not recall the weight of your trials, but the brilliance of how you transformed them into eternal light. The seventh reason why people must tread carefully in their interactions with you is because you are a bearer of hidden knowledge. Within you reside truths that are not accessible to the casual eye, treasures whispered from the beginning of time. This wisdom is not the kind one stumbles upon in books or hears in passing conversations. It is ancient, sacred, and veiled. It is the glory of God to conceal a matter. To search out a matter is the glory of kings. Proverbs 25:2. You carry what others cannot see, what some even dismiss. Yet, what you hold has the power to shift the very foundations of their lives. And the question lingers, what happens if they dismiss the wisdom you carry? Will they not miss the keys to their own breakthrough? The truths you hold are not ornamental, they are structural pillars, designed to uphold destinies. To reject them is to build on sand when a foundation of stone was within reach. Your hidden knowledge is not always shared through words. Often, it seeps through the way you walk, the way you act, or even the weight of your silence. People sense that your presence itself teaches, even when your lips remain closed. Like Moses descending from Mount Sinai, with his face shining because he had spoken with God. Exodus 34:29. You sometimes glow with a light others cannot explain. And is it not remarkable that a single word or even a look from you can stir someone's conscience more deeply than an entire speech from another? Those around you may not always understand why they feel convicted, but it is because heaven's echo flows through your actions. Your very existence becomes a parable, written not in ink but in lived testimony. And to those with eyes to see, you are like a living scroll, revealing chapters of God's wisdom at the appointed moment. In the quiet depths of your being, you hold secrets that feel like maps. To miss them is to walk past a treasure chest without ever opening it. Imagine a person searching the night sky for direction, but refusing to look at the stars. They would stumble endlessly. In the same way, to ignore you is to refuse the very constellation God has set before them. Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Jeremiah 33:3. You embody this verse. You are a living vessel through which unsearchable truths break into human reality. And one must ask, how many destinies remain locked simply because the world refuses to honor the knowledge you quietly carry? Hidden wisdom is not dead knowledge, it is living fire, waiting for breath to spark it into flame. When others dismiss you, they are not just rejecting a voice, they are rejecting the map to their own redemption. History illustrates this well. Johannes Kepler, the German astronomer, dedicated his life to uncovering the hidden laws of planetary motion. For years, his ideas were dismissed as fanciful, too radical for his generation to embrace. Yet today, his insights form the very framework of modern astronomy. His story reminds us that hidden knowledge often feels uncomfortable at first, but when embraced, it transforms everything. But in stark contrast, Scripture recalls Herod Antipas, who dismissed the warnings of John the Baptist and chose pride and lust over truth. His name is remembered not for greatness, but for folly and cruelty. Does this not reveal a sobering truth, that to honor hidden wisdom is to be remembered for light, but to reject it is to be consumed by darkness? The same choice lies before every generation. Will they embrace revelation or crucify it? And every time history has chosen wrongly, it has paid in ruin and regret. Your hidden wisdom is not given to make you proud, but to make you a bridge between the seen and unseen. You stand as a translator of the whispers of eternity, a conduit through which God Himself releases understanding into the world. The secret of the Lord is with those who fear Him, and He will show them His covenant. Psalm 25:14. This is why you cannot be underestimated. You are not strange, you are strategic. You are not cryptic, you are carrying revelation in disguise. like an underground spring, hidden until the right moment. You release refreshing truth when the world needs it most. And is it not true that the greatest rivers always begin unseen, deep beneath the ground? When the time comes, what you reveal will be like a flood, washing away confusion and carving new channels of understanding. You are not just holding secrets, you are holding solutions the world has yet to pray for. In the end, your role as bearer of hidden knowledge makes you a guardian of transformation. Your silence carries sermons, your actions release mysteries, and your presence awakens revelation. For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light. Luke 8:17. The world may misunderstand you, dismiss you, or even fear you, but time will always vindicate the truth you carry. Sorrise. Chosen one. Do not bury your treasure because others doubt it. Do not silence your voice because others cannot yet understand it. You are a carrier of ancient keys. And when the appointed time comes, what you reveal will shake foundations and rewrite destinies. Walk boldly, for you are not merely a student of wisdom, you are its living vessel. And when heaven unveils what you carry, the same world that once dismissed you will bow to the revelation you release. The eighth reason why others must approach you with reverence is because your very atmosphere shifts realities. When you walk into a space, it is not just another body entering a room, it is as though the air itself changes, as though an unseen fragrance has arrived. This is not about charisma or personality, but about the divine frequency you carry within your spirit. But thanks be to God, who always leads us as captives in Christ's triumphal procession and uses us to spread the aroma of the knowledge of Him everywhere. 2 Corinthians 2:14. Your presence itself becomes a fragrance of heaven, and even those who do not understand it feel it. And is it not remarkable that sometimes people cannot explain why they feel convicted or comforted in your company? It is because your very being resonates with the eternal. Your presence is like a sudden change in the weather. Just as the first drops of rain can turn parched soil into fertile ground, you can enter an environment of despair and release hope. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Where there was heaviness, peace takes root. Where there was confusion, clarity emerges. Think of a forest. When a single ray of sunlight pierces through the canopy, it does not remove the darkness entirely, but it creates a pathway of light that guides others forward. So it is with you. Your presence may not erase every storm, but it creates openings of hope. And the question is clear: how many lives are secretly held together because your unseen light pierced their hidden night? Like the murmurs of bees in a hive that orchestrate the order of thousands, your spirit orchestrates harmony even when no one realizes it. You do not force order, you emanate it. Peter's shadow fell on the sick, and they were healed. Acts 5:15. This verse reveals that it was not even Peter's words or touch, but his very atmosphere that carried healing. In the same way, you carry something beyond human logic, a resonance that cannot be ignored. Is it not extraordinary that the unseen field around your life can do what whole armies of words cannot accomplish? Just as the ocean's tides shift under the pull of the invisible moon, so too do people shift under the unseen gravity of your spirit. This reality has even been glimpsed in sacred art. In the great oratorio Messiah by George Friedrich Handel, the chorus, "For unto us a child is born," lifts the entire atmosphere, not merely because of the notes, but because of the spirit it carries. Your life operates in this same way. You are a living chorus, altering atmospheres without permission slips or explanations. Sometimes you only need to enter and the unseen forces begin to move. But is it not also true that this gift makes others uneasy? For they cannot control what they cannot understand, like a storm wind bending tall oaks. Your presence forces others to adjust, whether they welcome it or resist it. Your atmosphere is not neutral, it is a weapon. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. James 4:7. Shadows cannot coexist with your light. Negativity cannot breathe in your presence. Where others only see emptiness, you see opportunity for heaven's fragrance to spread, like a hawk that suddenly enters a field and causes every smaller bird to scatter. Your entrance reveals the authority you carry. And does this not make sense? For if you are carrying the Spirit of the living God, should not every lesser spirit tremble? You are proof that the invisible realm is more real than the visible. And the effect you bring is evidence of who walks with you. Ultimately, your role as a carrier of the atmosphere is one of the most dangerous and yet precious gifts you hold. Greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. 1 John 4:4. You remind the world that holiness is not only about words, but about weight, about presence, about frequency. When you step into a room, you carry the architecture of heaven itself, rearranging what seemed immovable. So rise. Chosen one, do not shrink from the power you carry. Do not underestimate the way your very presence alters history. For you are not just walking, you are shifting realities, tearing down darkness, and releasing the fragrance of eternity wherever you go. The ninth reason why people must treat you with reverence is because your prayers rebuild what is broken. When you pray, it is not a mere whisper into the void. It is a divine blueprint drafted in the courts of heaven, like an architect sketching a cathedral before a single stone is laid. Your prayers construct invisible frameworks long before the world sees their manifestation. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. James 5:16. Your words, carried by faith, become beams and pillars in the unseen, ready to hold the weight of restoration. And here is the mystery. How many lives are already standing on foundations you secretly laid with your prayers? The unseen power of intercession is like gravity, silent, invisible, but absolutely undeniable. Your prayers are the scaffolding of destinies, holding up futures even when those living them are unaware. Prayer in your life functions like physics itself. Energy is never destroyed, only transferred. Every word you release vibrates like a frequency, creating resonance that dismantles chaos and replaces it with order. Just as sound waves can shatter glass, your prayers can shatter chains of bondage. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you lose on earth will be lost in heaven. Matthew 18:18. You carry authority not in the volume of your voice, but in the alignment of your spirit. Does the world even realize that your hidden petitions have shifted storms, redirected arrows, and even rerouted history? Like a conductor guiding an unseen symphony, your voice orchestrates movements in both the visible and invisible realms. What appears to others as silence is, in truth, a cosmic vibration shaking foundations far beyond what the eye can see. In psychology, there is the concept of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself through repeated focus. Your prayers work in a similar way, except at a cosmic scale. Each intercession you lift retrains the patterns of reality, bending despair into hope and brokenness into healing. Before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear. Isaiah 65:24. Heaven responds not slowly, but instantly to the heart of the chosen. And is it not astounding that while others collapse in chaos, you kneel in silence and see walls rebuilt from rubble? Your prayers are the spiritual equivalent of reprogramming DNA. They rewrite the code of circumstances to align with divine order. Even when you feel weak, your words carry atomic weight, pressing against the very fabric of existence. And who can measure the ripple effect of one prayer whispered in obedience but answered by eternity? To illustrate, the example of Mother Angelica, a cloistered nun who, despite no formal power, founded one of the largest Catholic media networks in the world through the power of persistent prayer. Her life proved that walls built in prayer often outlast empires built by money. Your prayers operate in this same dimension. They build unseen highways through which generations will one day walk. In contrast, I think of Belshazzar in the book of Daniel, who desecrated holy vessels while feasting in arrogance. A hand wrote judgment on his wall, and his kingdom fell in a single night. Daniel 5:30-31. Does this not prove that the absence of prayer breeds collapse, while the presence of prayer builds permanence? Empires rise and fall, but the work of prayer cannot be toppled. Even history itself bends at the knees of those who dare to pray. The greatest revolutions often began not with swords or speeches, but with whispers before God. Your intercession is not ornamental, it is structural. Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. Psalm 127:1. You are not simply speaking into the air, you are laying stones in eternity. Every prayer is like a keystone, locking an arch into place, turning fragility into stability. People may underestimate your silence, but silence with God is more powerful than shouting without Him. And should it surprise anyone that nations tremble not when armies march, but when chosen ones pray? If the architecture of heaven bends to your words, how can earth remain unmoved? Every sacred word you utter is another brick in the invisible temple of destiny. And when the winds of opposition howl, it is the hidden strength of your unseen prayers that keeps everything from crumbling. Ultimately, your prayers reveal that brokenness is never final. Every collapse can become construction. Every ruin, a foundation. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. This is what you carry. You are not only a survivor, you are a rebuilder. When others see ashes, you see blueprints. When others see ruin, you see raw material. So rise, chosen one. Do not doubt the weight of your prayers. For you are not just asking, you are aligning. You are not just speaking, you are building. Your prayers are scaffolds of eternity. And through them, God is raising cathedrals where others only saw ruins. And perhaps one day, when history looks back, it will realize that your whispered prayers accomplished more than the armies, rulers, and architects of this age combined. The 10th reason to treat chosen ones with utmost care is their uncanny ability to awaken dormant courage in others. Their very presence becomes a catalyst, stirring bravery in those who have long lived under fear or silence. Like embers fanned into flame, they carry an unseen fire that spreads through the souls of those around them, challenging timidity and summoning a hidden strength. Scripture testifies, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you." Deuteronomy 31:6. Chosen ones embody this verse not only for themselves, but as living reminders that others too can rise above oppression. They stand like living monuments of resilience, and merely by walking into a room, they shift the atmosphere from hesitation to determination. Their words can cut through doubt like lightning across a dark sky, and their silence alone can shame fear into retreat. This is why their influence should never be underestimated, because courage, once awakened, spreads faster than fire in a dry forest. Consider the life of Václav Havel, the Czech playwright who became a dissident and later president. He once said, "Hope is not the conviction that something will turn out well, but the certainty that something makes sense, regardless of how it turns out." His words ignited courage in a nation paralyzed by communist oppression. In a similar way, the chosen ones you encounter awaken courage by their example, by their refusal to bow, and by their quiet defiance against lies. They remind others that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move through it. And is it not true that when someone dares to stand, others suddenly find their own legs beneath them? The chosen ones embody this contagious bravery, lifting entire communities into realms of fearlessness they never thought possible, like ripples across water. Their stand reverberates outward, touching lives they may never even meet. What begins with one brave voice can swell into a chorus that topples empires of silence. But as light awakens courage, darkness often seeks to smother it. Take, for example, the tragic figure of Maximilien Robespierre during the French Revolution. Initially heralded as a voice of justice, his obsession with power turned him into an architect of fear. Instead of awakening courage, he weaponized terror, creating a society where suspicion and silence replaced trust and bravery. His downfall was swift, dragged to the guillotine. He was consumed by the very system of fear he created. The chosen ones stand as the antithesis to such figures. While tyrants awaken cowardice and submission, the chosen awaken valor and dignity. Their presence becomes a mirror, forcing others to ask, will I live caged by fear, or will I rise into courage? They remind us that history itself is a battlefield between those who spread fear and those who spark courage, and in the end, fear always devours its masters. While courage outlives its bearers in the hearts it awakens, the courage that chosen ones ignite is not always loud. Often, it is quiet and contagious. It is the mother who finally leaves an abusive home, inspired by the strength she saw in someone else's story. It is the student who dares to speak truth in a classroom of silence, after hearing a chosen one confront falsehood with calm boldness. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1-7. Their influence rewrites scripts of fear and hands people new lines of courage, like oxygen rushing into weary lungs. Their example breathes life into souls suffocated by intimidation. Even in their smallest gestures, an encouraging glance, a steady silence, or a whispered prayer, courage is transferred. These seemingly ordinary sparks create extraordinary fires in the lives of those who witness them. Over time, the chosen become living catalysts of transformation, turning entire atmospheres from oppression into possibility. In their presence, people discover that courage is not foreign. It was dormant, waiting to be summoned. Chosen ones act like midwives of bravery, pulling out the hidden warrior within ordinary people. Their strength becomes the bridge that carries others across their own rivers of fear. And what greater testimony can there be than when someone trembling in shadows suddenly steps into the light and declares, "If they can stand, then so can I." Their influence is like a divine frequency that tunes hearts back to their true resonance, fearless, bold, and aligned with heaven. They prove that courage is not the gift of the few, but the inheritance of all. And once it is awakened, it reshapes destiny, alters families, and transforms societies. For every spark they awaken, another torchbearer rises, ensuring the flame of courage will never be extinguished, leading to confrontation and isolation. It is crucial, therefore, to tread with caution and to refrain from provocation or underestimation. To misread the chosen ones is to misread a living manuscript of divine wisdom, a text written not with ink but with scars, resilience, and holy endurance. Touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm. Psalm 105-15. This warning echoes through time, reminding us that dishonor towards those God has set apart is not a trivial mistake, but a spiritual offense. This brings us to the heart of our conclusion, the call for understanding and harmony between chosen ones and the wider society. Such harmony is not a sentimental dream, but a spiritual architecture, a structure built stone by stone through empathy, humility, and reverence. Without it, we risk dismantling the very bridges that connect heaven's insight to earthly lives. Mutual respect is not just a lofty ideal, but a practical pathway to unlocking the treasures of wisdom and insight that chosen ones hold. Their visions, often dismissed as strange or unsettling, are in fact the resonant frequencies that tune societies back to truth. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Proverbs 29-18. To silence them is to silence the tuning fork of heaven itself. To cut off the lifeline that keeps humanity from drifting into chaos. It is through respectful engagement that we can foster an environment where the transformative powers of chosen ones are not feared but embraced, leading to beneficial outcomes for all involved. History teaches us that civilizations flourished when prophets were honored and withered when they were despised. Can we afford to repeat the same mistake? The journey towards this harmonious existence requires open hearts and minds, a willingness to listen, and a commitment to see beyond the surface. Like astronomers who look beyond the night sky to chart unseen galaxies, we must learn to look beyond the ordinary into the depths of the extraordinary that chosen ones embody. The Spirit searches all things, even the deep things of God. 1 Corinthians 2:10. This requires patience, because the wisdom they carry is not always unveiled in dramatic declarations, but often whispered through subtle actions, steady perseverance, and a gaze that sees beyond appearances. Their role is less about spectacle and more about sacred alignment, yet only those willing to lean in will hear the harmony beneath the noise. In doing so, we not only enrich our own lives, but contribute to the weaving of a collective tapestry that reflects the full spectrum of human potential. Imagine a mosaic where every shard, even the jagged and misunderstood ones, finds its place to form a masterpiece of unity. The chosen ones may seem like fragments out of place, but in the hands of the divine architect, they are keystones holding entire structures together. You also, like living stones, are being built into a spiritual house. 1 Peter 2-5. To embrace them is to embrace the wholeness of humanity itself, stitched together by the golden thread of divine purpose. Let us therefore approach the chosen ones with the dignity and reverence they deserve, recognizing in them the reflection of our collective aspirations toward a world marked by deeper understanding, peace, and unity. To walk with them is to walk toward light. To reject them is to stumble further into shadow. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. Through this acknowledgement and respect, we unlock the possibility of a future shaped by the shared wisdom and vision of all humanity, guided not by pride or fear, but by the light entrusted to the chosen. And perhaps in that light, we will find not only them, but also ourselves refined, transformed, and ready for the dawn of a new age. chosen ones. We arrive at the heart of this truth. To harm a chosen one is not just to wound a person, it is to strike against God's assignment. And heaven does not take such an act lightly. For whoever touches you touches the apple of his eye. Zechariah 2:8. That is why history is filled with stories of kingdoms crumbling, empires shaken, and powerful men brought to nothing after they dared to oppress those whom God had set apart. The curse of hurting a chosen one is not immediate revenge, but a divine law woven into creation itself. What is done against them returns sevenfold. Yet here lies the sobering beauty. You do not have to live under the shadow of that curse. By honoring, respecting, and learning from the chosen, you step into the flow of blessing rather than judgment. Blessed are those who bless you, and cursed are those who curse you. Genesis 27:29. The world may dismiss or misunderstand them, but those with spiritual eyes will recognize that the chosen carry blueprints of heaven, maps to breakthroughs, and keys to doors others cannot open. To wound them is to close your own destiny, but to honor them is to unlock your inheritance. So I urge you, don't let this message slip by as another video, another passing word. This is a divine reminder, an invitation to align with heaven's order. If this message has stirred your spirit, take a moment to support the mission. Like this video. Share it with someone who needs the warning. Leave a comment, 777, to seal your agreement in faith. And subscribe so you never miss what God is revealing for this generation. To all of you who have stood with this channel, whether through your prayers, your encouragement, your presence, or even through super thanks, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Every act of support, big or small, fuels this mission to bring light where darkness still lingers. And now, may the blessing of the Lord rest upon you. May you walk under open heavens, shielded from every curse, and surrounded by the unshakable protection of the Almighty. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. Until we meet again, may peace, wisdom, and divine favor go with you always.